Father Vincent McNabb, whom I met, he came to Tala to give us a retreat. I think it was 1938. And he was from the same parish as my father, but joined the English Dominicans. He used to talk at Hyde Park at the Catholic Evidence Guild, but he's always very clever with his Irish repartee. Very sharp answers, quick as lightning. So the people of the Catholic Evidence Guild were telling him to tone down, and not be putting people off by his smart answers. So he'd always promise. One time he was there and he was holding forth, and there was a lady, she said, "If you were my husband, I'd give you poison," said she. And he said, "Ma'am," he said, "if I was your husband, I'd drink it." So he was off like that. Then he was, what was I going to speak about?
A communist.
Oh, the communist, yes. One time he was to debate in the Albert Hall in London, public debate with a communist. It was only afterwards we had discovered, years later during the war, after the war, that there was a group of people, professors and that, academics in Cambridge, who were called the Apostles. And it turned out afterwards that these so-called apostles, that they were all communists, and they were all spying for Russia. One of them, before he was caught, escaped to Russia, and another one was the one who looked after the paintings in the Queen's Library. So he was dismissed from that job when he was found out. But when Vincent McNabb was debating this guy, they didn't know anything about these apostles, that they really were communists. And that morning, Sunday morning, Father Bernard Delaney was the prior, and he saw Vincent in his habit.
The time is now 5 p.m.
In his habit, and black and white habit, be made by the crofters up in Scotland, rough wool, and he had boots made by them, leather, heavy leather boots, and he'd always go walking about in his habit and leather boots. So the prior said to him, "Well, Father Vincent, are you prepared? No, are you feeling nervous?" "Nervous?" he said. "Why should I be nervous?" "Well, about your debate." "What debate?" He said, "Aren't you having a debate with the communists in the Albert Hall?" "Oh," he said, "forgot all about it. He said. "No time to prepare now," he said. "I just run off to the chapel and say a prayer to St. Vincent, his patron." So he went off to say a prayer to St. Vincent. It was time to leave, and off he went. He walked through London, walked across London to the Albert Hall, and there he was on the stage. The police were, the supporters of the Catholic, Father Vincent, were on one side, and the supporters of the communists were on the other side. And there's a row of policemen in the middle to separate them in case there'd be a riot afterwards. So the communist from Cambridge, he was the first to speak, and he began to speak. Vincent was sitting a bit behind him. Now, I watched Vincent when he was giving the retreat to us in Tallinn, and he had an ordinary, normal face. But then he could relax the muscles of his face, and the look on his face was the look of an idiot. And then he had another face which was transfixed as though he saw St. Dominic in heaven. So here he was, sitting behind, looking at the people, and he then relaxed his face and put on this idiotic look. And the people all burst out laughing. And the speaker didn't realize what was so funny that caused all this laughter. And he turned round to Father Vincent. He was looking quite solemn, quite solemn. And he didn't know what was wrong. So he went on speaking, and after a while Vincent again relaxed the muscles of his face and put on the idiotic look. People all burst out laughing, and then he turned round to Father Vincent. Vincent was quite solemn. Nothing, you see, he couldn't make out. So he was disrupting the other guys' talk just by relaxing the muscles of his face. Then it came to Vincent's turn to speak. And he came forward. He said, "I want to tell you a secret," he said. "It's a secret," he said. "I want to tell you what we have got against these guys, these communists. Professional jealousy. That's what it is," he said. Professional jealousy. Now let me explain. We are the professional communists. We take a vow of poverty. We live a life of poverty. We have everything in common, as the communists speak about. So we are the professionals. And now we are mad with them because when they were starting up, they didn't come along to consult us, the professionals. Now, wouldn't you feel pretty bad if you were a professional and they didn't come to consult you? You see, so that people were all laughing. He had them. And he went on and explained to them all about poverty and all that, but put in the jokes, and the place was laughing all the time. And when it came to the vote, of course, McNabb won hands down. Everybody was in favour of McNabb. There was no need for the police. There was no disturbance. And then off we went, clock, back home again, thanking St. Vincent. Well, that is the story about Vincent McNabb. Of course, I could tell you many other stories about him also, but there was one time, you must remember, Father Vincent, he went to Louvain University. They were going to put him on for scripture studies. So he studied Greek and he studied Hebrew. And then came home to teach the Bible, biblical studies, but got diverted. So one day he was there and he quoted some text from the Bible and the New Testament, and this guy had the book open in front of him, said, "I can't find that," he said, "in my Bible." So McNabb said, "Let me see." So he handed the Bible to McNabb. The Bible was in Greek. It's the New Testament. It was in Greek. And he put it upside down to see would McNabb realize whether the thing was upside down or not. So McNabb looked and said, "No wonder he couldn't understand it. He's got it upside down," he said. Then he took the book and turned it up and began and read out the whole thing in Greek, and then expounded it and gave the book back to him. Then when he was dying, he said that he wished that on the lid of his coffin, all around the lid of his coffin, there should be written in Greek letters, "Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee." And they did that. They had it in Greek all around, and that was the lid of his coffin. Now,